Hey guys, welcome back to another video where I'm bringing you some cryptocurrency news. This article is from the Crypto Briefing and it's on Trudeau says he'll freeze bank accounts and crypto fans point to Bitcoin. Yeah, so Canada's been going over some really crazy stuff lately. And yeah, so Bitcoin can't solve this problem. Let's go over the article and see what's going on. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has invoked the Emergencies Act and threatened to bar truckers protesting vaccine mandates from the traditional financial system in response to the crypto community has slammed the government's moves. So yeah, so he's been, can you believe that Emergencies Act? Crazy. But yeah, so key takeaways are Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act to curtail an anti-vaccine mandate protests. Under the act, the government can censor payments and freeze citizens' bank accounts without going through the court system. Many members of the crypto community scorn the government's power move, arguing for increased cryptocurrency adoption. So in the response to the trucker-led protests over vaccine mandates, the Canadian government has for the first time invoked the 1988 Emergencies Act, meaning it can freeze or suspend citizens' bank accounts without a court order or due process. Cryptocurrency enthusiasts responded by advocating for self-sovereign money and digital assets like Bitcoin. Canada's situation highlights crypto's values propositions. Crypto fans are slamming Justin Trudeau over his handling of the ongoing COVID-19 protest across Canada. The Canadian Prime Minister escalated the tensions Monday when he invoked the Emergencies Act for the first time in a bid to curtail nationwide protests over COVID-19 restrictions. Under the act, the government can use the military against illegal protests and freeze their bank accounts of anyone directly or indirectly involved with the going through the court system. In a Monday press conference, Canada's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Chrystia Freeland, outlined the measures, said, as of today, a bank or other financial service providers will be able to immediately freeze or suspend an account without a court order. In doing so, they will be protected against civil liability for actions taken in good faith. Trudeau's government has faced pressure in recent weeks amid protests over the country's vaccine mandate. After vaccine requirements were introduced for truckers crossing the U.S. border, protests gathered to form a blockade at the border bridge. The protesters used vehicles and human chains to prevent traffic from passing in what was dubbed the Freedom Convoy. The border blockade caused supply chain issues and sparked wider protests across Canada over COVID-19 restrictions. As the protests gained traction, protesters raised over $10 million through a GoFundMe fundraiser campaign. However, under pressure from the government, the company refused to distribute the funds, citing unlawful activity, and instead returned it to the donors. Discussing the implications of the Emergency Act, Freeland said the country would be extending the scope of its anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financial regulations, she said. We are broadening the scope of Canada's anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financial rules so they cover crowdfunding platforms and the payment providers that they use. These changes cover all forms of transactions, including digital assets such as cryptocurrencies. The Canadian government has now obligated crowdfunding platforms and payment providers to report all suspicious transactions, specifically donations to the anti-vaccine mandate protesters. With the relevant authorities, it means that these protesters are now categorized the same way as terrorists, and any donations supporting them constitute the same as terrorist financing. But the crypto community is slamming this Emergencies Act. In response to the GoFundMe ban, protesters turned to an alternative funding method. They raised more than 20 Bitcoin, worth roughly $900,000, in a few days. Consequently, the Canadian government has stepped into the broadened scope of the financial surveillance laws to include Bitcoin payments. However, blocking Bitcoin payments is easier said than done, as a Bitcoin transaction are peer-to-peer. They're impossible to censor, freeze, or seize if used accordingly. In fact, the concept of censorship resistance is one of Bitcoin's core value propositions and the reason it was created. It allows people to have an alternative way of transacting free from the control of governments and banks. Once Trudeau invoked the Emergency Act, the crypto community was quick to point out Bitcoin's decentralized characteristics. Coin Center's head of the communications, Niraj Agrawal, sarcastically tweeted, "Oh no, please don't expose how easily the state can lean on financial intermediaries, cut off the political protest fundraising." Sharing a video clip of Freelance announcing that banks would be able to freeze protesters' accounts on Twitter, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong also weighed in and he wrote, "Concerning to see stuff like this happening in any country, especially shuts an economically free place like Canada. Self-custodial wallets are important. Nayib Bukele even came in and said, are these the people who like to give lessons to other countries about democracy and freedom? This is one of the top ranking countries in the democracy index. Your credibility on these topics is now worth zero. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele, who last year pushed through a law to make Bitcoin legal tender, also fired shots against the Canadian government, questioning people who like to give lessons to other countries about democracy and freedom. Reposting the viral clip of Freeland discussing the Emergencies Act, he added that Canada's credibility on this topic is now worth zero. Many other high-profile Bitcoin and crypto enthusiasts criticized Trudeau and the Canadian government, remarking that such government actions highlight the importance of decentralization and censorship resistance and self-sovereign money. So yeah, so Canada basically went full-on communist. I just gotta say that, because yeah, so like shutting down people's bank accounts, like with no say, nothing, like no courts to do so. It's like, hey, we're getting rid of your bank account, dunzo. It's like we saw that actually happen in America with who was that? Oh, gosh, I haven't listened to him in a while. It's gonna bug me. America's first. Why is this bugging me that I won't be able to? Hold on, I gotta look that up. Who is it? Who is it? America first with. I cannot remember. So dang it. But yeah, he was a kid who was basically banned from everything. Flights, his bank accounts were shut down, and yeah, so like when governments can do that without any say or reasons to do so, it's like Bitcoin's here to help solve that issue. Like it's peer-to-peer. Don't keep it on any exchange, because if it's on an exchange like Coinbase, BitTrue, KuCoin, Kraken, which other ones are there? Binance. I know there's more out there. There's tons of them out there. But like accounts like that is like they work with the governments, and the governments can shut them down if they so please. So as long as you have a non-custodial wallet and you're in control of your cryptocurrencies, these guys can't affect you. And then you have a free public address to give out to people and go, hey, like these guys are shutting us down. Here's our new public address location where you can send us some cryptocurrencies and help support the cause. So yeah, this is just one more reason why cryptocurrencies are needed in this world we're living right now. Like we are just seeing it straight up. It's crazy what's going on. So yeah, Bitcoin fixes this issue because it doesn't rely on that third-party intermediary. It's peer-to-peer transactions, and that's what I love about it. Sure, we're going to need somewhere in the future a combination of the both, because like that's just how it is. You can't have one without the other. But at least you'll be able to choose which one you prefer and which one you need to use. So yeah, so that's that article, people. If you like this article that I brought to you, thumbs up it, share with your friends, get the knowledge out there, what the world's going through and what's happening, because it's up to us to share this information, and that's how we can make change happening. So please subscribe, like the video, and just stay safe out there and keep educating yourself in the crypto world. So until next video, the Crypto Sherpa is out.